On February 2nd, 1943, the German Sixth Army surrendered at Stalingrad. Months earlier, Field Marshal Maximilian von Weichs had foreseen the disaster. As commander of Army Group B, he warned Hitler again and again that the operation would fail and urged a retreat. Hitler refused. 300,000 men were encircled. Why did Germany's leader ignore one of his most experienced commanders? Born into Bavarian nobility in 1881, Maximilian von Weichs followed the path expected of his class, joining the Bavarian cavalry in 1900. In the First World War, he served as a staff officer on both the Western and Eastern fronts, developing a reputation for methodical planning and attention to detail. After the war, he remained in the newly created Reichswehr, holding several general staff positions during the years before the Second World War. By the mid-1930s, as Germany rebuilt its forces, von Weichs transferred from the 3rd Cavalry Division to command the newly formed 1st Panzer Division. His skill in leading large-scale maneuvers impressed Army Commander-in-Chief Werner von Fritsch, and in 1937 he was promoted to command 13th Army Corps. The following year, he led that corps during the German annexation of the Sudetenland, an early demonstration of his reliability in high-profile operations. The invasion of Poland in September 1939 gave von Weichs his first major command opportunity in World War II, leading his own corps, Weichs. His troops advanced with precision, securing objectives with textbook coordination. After Poland's surrender, he was promoted to command the Second Army under Gerd von Rundstedt's Army Group A in the west. During the 1940 campaign in France, von Weichs' army broke through French defenses in the Sedan sector, forcing enemy withdrawals that opened the way for the rapid German advance. For his leadership, he received the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross and promotion to General Oberst. In early 1941, he led the Second Army in the Balkans campaign. On May 19th, shortly after Yugoslavia's capitulation, von Weichs issued a harsh reprisal order. For every German soldier wounded by partisans, 100 Serbs were to be shot. It was a chilling sign of how occupation warfare differed from the set-piece campaigns of France and Poland. That summer, as preparations for Operation Barbarossa began, von Weichs remained in command of the Second Army within Fedor von Bock's Army Group Center. His forces took part in the great encirclement battles at Kiev and Smolensk, then pressed on toward Vyazma and Bryansk. By 1942, Adolf Hitler needed commanders he could trust for the most ambitious military operation in history. Operation Blue would drive German forces deep into the Soviet Union towards Stalingrad and the oil fields of the Caucasus. Hitler selected von Weichs to command the newly created Army Group B. Army Group B was composed of General Hans von Salmuth's Second Army, General Hermann Hurt's 4th Panzer Army, and General Friedrich Paulus's 6th Army. This promotion placed enormous responsibility on the Bavarian Field Marshal. He would coordinate not only German divisions, but also Hungarian, Italian, and Romanian armies, stretching across hundreds of miles of Russian territory. The multinational nature of Army Group B created unprecedented challenges. Von Weichs had to manage forces with varying languages, military traditions, equipment standards, training levels, and motivation, while maintaining operational effectiveness. Romanian divisions lacked adequate anti-tank weapons, Italian units struggled with supply problems in the harsh Russian climate, and all these unequal Allied forces stretched his command capabilities. Hitler's strategic vision differed fundamentally from von Weichs' careful approach to military planning. The Nazi leader demanded rapid advances and dramatic territorial gains that would demonstrate German power to the world. Von Weichs preferred systematic operations that secured supply lines and maintained unit cohesion. This philosophical difference created tension between the Field Marshal and his supreme commander. The initial stages of Operation Blue appeared to vindicate Hitler's aggressive strategy. German spearheads advanced rapidly across the Don River towards Stalingrad and the Volga. Soviet resistance seemed to collapse as Red Army units retreated eastward. However, von Weichs noticed troubling developments as his forces advanced deeper into Soviet territory. The front line stretched over 500 miles, far exceeding the defensive capabilities of his multinational army group. By October 1942, intelligence reports indicated Soviet troop concentrations north and south of Stalingrad, precisely where his weakest Allied units held the line. Von Weichs recognized the growing danger and began preparing urgent assessments for Hitler's headquarters. Von Weichs' first formal warning arrived at Hitler's headquarters on November 3, 1942. The detailed report contained intelligence about Soviet troop movements and identified critical weaknesses in Army Group B's defensive positions. Weichs documented how the Romanian Third Army held a 90-mile front with severely underarmed divisions and obsolete equipment. German intelligence estimated over 400 Soviet tanks concentrated across from Romanian positions, while each Romanian division defended 3 times the frontage considered safe by German military doctrine. His analysis highlighted similar problems with the Italian 8th Army positions south of Stalingrad. Von Weichs noted that Italian morale had declined significantly after months of fighting in harsh conditions they were unprepared for. Many soldiers suffered from frostbite and malnutrition, reducing their combat effectiveness. The Field Marshal requested immediate reinforcements or permission to shorten his defensive lines. In private conversations with staff, von Weichs warned that if the Soviets struck both flanks at once, the 6th Army would be trapped and destroyed. It was, he feared, a disaster measured not in miles lost, but in entire armies erased. Hitler dismissed the recommendations. Capturing Stalingrad, he insisted, would break Soviet resistance. No retreat was allowed without his personal order. Through November, Weichs' intelligence officers gathered mounting evidence of an impending Soviet strike, expanding supply depots, radio traffic about reinforcements, aerial photos of troop buildups. He warned Berlin that Army Group B could not hold its positions. Soviet forces outnumbered his Romanian and Italian allies more than 3-1 in the threatened sectors. But propaganda had already proclaimed victory at Stalingrad. Admitting weakness was unthinkable. Hitler's entourage reinforced his optimism and blocked von Weichs from private meetings. On November 18th, the Field Marshal reported heavy artillery probes and unusual Soviet movement. His final warning predicted a major breakthrough within 24 hours. Hitler's orders remained unchanged: no retreat. At dawn, on November 19th, 1942, Soviet artillery erupted along the Romanian Third Army's front. Tanks smashed through the defenses von Weichs had long warned were inadequate. The Romanians collapsed, leaving mile-wide gaps in Army Group B's northern flank. The next day, Soviet forces struck the Italian 8th Army, which crumbled even faster. By November 23rd, the pincers met west of Stalingrad, trapping Paulus's 6th Army in a shrinking pocket. Von Weichs immediately urged Hitler to order a breakout. He argued it was the only way to save 250,000 men, and that the 6th Army had fuel and ammunition for a 48-hour window. Hitler refused, insisting Stalingrad be held. Instead, von Weichs was told to mount a relief with the same shattered forces that had just been routed. Caught between orders and reality, von Weichs watched as Paulus radioed desperate pleas for supplies. German transport planes tried to keep the army alive, but Soviet fighters and flak tore into them. Then Hitler stripped von Weichs of his best armored units, transferring them to Manstein's new Army Group Don, making any relief hopeless. By January 1943, von Weichs commanded only fragments of his former force. On February 2nd, the 6th Army surrendered. 90,000 survivors staggered into captivity from a force once 250,000 strong. Stalingrad ended von Weichs' frontline career. Relieved of his Stalingrad command in early 1943, von Weichs was promoted to General Field Marshal on February 1st. In August 1943, Hitler reassigned von Weichs to southeastern Europe, shifting him from commanding vast fronts to fighting guerrilla war as head of Army Group F. As OB Südost, he now oversaw all German forces in the Balkans at a time when partisan resistance threatened German control across the region. From his headquarters in Belgrade, von Weichs directed operations against Yugoslav partisans under Tito, whose guerrilla tactics disrupted supply lines and communications. In Greece, resistance fighters waged sabotage and ambush campaigns. These irregular wars demanded a different approach from the conventional battles of von Weichs' early career. His methodical style now fueled harsh anti-partisan measures. Under his command, German forces conducted brutal reprisals, destroying villages suspected of aiding partisans, carrying out mass executions, and deporting civilians. The precision that had once served battlefield discipline now enforced occupation policies. In April 1944, Hitler expanded his role to include command of all German troops in Hungary. The new responsibility stretched his forces even thinner as Soviet armies pressed toward the Balkans. By October, worsening conditions forced him to move headquarters from Belgrade to Vukovar. The collapse of German control accelerated in late 1944. Von Weichs directed the retreat from Greece and much of Yugoslavia, abandoning positions won at heavy cost. Weichs retired from his military career on March 25, 1945. After Germany's surrender in May 1945, he was arrested by American forces and charged with war crimes for atrocities committed under his command in the Balkans. Scheduled for the hostages trial, he was removed on medical grounds before testimony began. Silent about his wartime role, von Weichs died in Burg-Rosberg, near Bonn, on September 27, 1954, at the age of 72 after a long illness. His passing drew little notice, a quiet end for a man once entrusted with the command of entire armies. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you found this story compelling, you'll also want to check out The Rise and Fall of Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel, Hitler's Yes Man. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more World War II content, and we will see you in the next one.